We've seen 100 million or so voters already casting their votes, haven't we? Doing it early. What does the surge in this early voting tell us? Joe Biden seems to think, and some people have suggested, that early voting, the surge in early voting, could give him some kind of lead. President Trump fighting back against that kind of narrative. What do we assess from the early voting trend?
Well, absolutely. We've already seen, I think it's close now to close to three-fourths of the number of Americans who voted in 2016 have already voted early. And so that's a pretty high number. Now, I think it's important to remember that we don't know exactly how high in-person turnout is going to be today, in a large part because of the continued coronavirus pandemic. I think that, there is the possibility that voter turnout isn't quite as high as we think, but I think that, there are a lot of indications that overall voter turnout in this election is going to be much higher than in 2016. I think that there are also, part of why we see Democrats being optimistic about that is that there's some indication. Obviously, we don't know how people vote when they enter the voting booth or when they fill out their ballot, but there is some indication from certain states of what the party affiliation is of the people who request early ballots. And in certain states, there's some indication that Democrats are requesting the early ballots at a much higher rate than Republicans. So there's a sense that that could translate into support for Joe Biden as opposed to Donald Trump. And I think that's why we're seeing, Trump trying to sow some doubt about the legitimacy of those early ballots. And so we would expect that to continue. And there's there's the big question kind of hanging out here is whether we're going to know the outcome tonight at all or whether this is going to drag out for several days.